Meghan Markle and Harry have had the Annus Horribilis from hell. They will, of course, tell you that 2024 was the greatest year possible for a high-achieving couple who have conquered the world. As Meg would say, that's their truth. But here's the truth. The gruesome twosome's grand plans to make smash hit TV shows for Netflix and make planet Earth a better place through their selfless global charity work have come to precisely nothing. Netflix-wise, as part of their staggering $100 million deal, they delivered a stupefyingly feeble 5-part series about polo, a niche horse sport that Harry and his privileged pals just love. But outside of their wealthy elite circles, no one could care less. Panned by critics as boring and pointless, polo was a no-no with the public. Charity-wise, their grandiosely named Archwell Foundation received in donations a meagre $5,750,000, $5 million of which came from one mystery benefactor who many suspect was Harry himself, anxious to spare the blushes of a dismal do-gooder outfit that was dying on its backside. Either way, just under $6 million isn't the kind of comparatively paltry sum that could change anything much at all. Meanwhile, looking back on 12 months of Markle-style triumph, there was the slow-motion car crash of American Riviera Orchard, her lifestyle site devoid of life. The dynamic Duchess launched her alleged money-making venture way back in March. Now, as we march into 2025, it's not open for business, mired in legal wrangling and going nowhere fast. Her troubles spiralled after an investigation by The Hollywood Reporter labelled her a bullying boss tyrant in high heels and turned her into Tinseltown's answer to Toxic City. As Harry busied himself with a worthy but dull documentary about his Invictus Games for military heroes and some nebulous nonsense about leadership, Meg plunged into the weird wonder of the Sussexes' pretend royal tours. First in May, their oddball odyssey to Nigeria, 72 photo op hours, throughout which they posed for pictures, visited schools and launched a 2-day summit on their favourite subject, mental health. Bemused locals wondered what the hell they were doing there. We're still not sure. Do you know? Answers on a postcard, please. Although the diverse Duchess did get to tell everyone that apparently she's 43% Nigerian. She told us that many times. What dedicated feminist Meghan didn't mention was Nigeria's abysmal human rights record, the rife practice of female genital mutilation, and the poor young girls kidnapped and held as sex slaves by Boko Haram terrorists. Then, Africa done, the jet-setting duo headed for a new continent and new photo opportunities. Next stop, South America, and a similarly mysterious whistle-stop tour of Colombia. More school visiting, and that old royal tour staple, watching tribal dancing. Yawn. After hailing both of these bizarre joints as stellar successes, the scintillating Sussexes are planning to grace more lucky nations with their faux regal presence. No one knows why. In other bad news, Harry's new hobby of preening himself with Toy Town trophies was pathetic to behold. What on earth did he think he was doing at a superficial ceremony in Beverly Hills, accepting from aeroplane-obsessed actor John Travolta a Legends of Aviation award? For his bravery flying helicopters in Afghanistan, we salute Harry. But that does not by a long chalk make him a legend of aviation. But if that was embarrassing, it was nothing on the preposterous prince's excruciating humiliation when he leapt at the chance to to undeservedly win the Pat Tillman Award for services to military veterans. All-American hero Pat gave up a multi-million-dollar football star contract to serve his country in Iraq and Afghanistan, where he was killed in 2004. Upon learning that a British aristocrat was to be honoured in the name of her son, Pat's seething mother, Mary, stormed, "I am shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual." In spite of this damning rebuke from a furious mum, beaming Harry bounded onto the stage in Las Vegas to receive the gong on live TV. A profoundly tragic moment. He looked proud, we looked away. Adrift on a sad sea of self-glorification, can this rudderless royal sink any lower? Almost certainly. Who knows what horrors 2025 may bring. He's had a terrible year, hasn't he? I mean, they both have. But Harry, I mean, what is he doing with his life? And what is she doing? I mean, you know, just listing all of their failures. I mean, 2024, Samara, could not have gone worse for them.
No. I mean, Harry is seemingly completely rudderless at the moment. And you ask, oh, what is 2025 going to bring? I think divorce. I think, I do. I know that everyone gets upset when I start, you know, pontificating about their relationship.
I don't.
But I actually think that you can't really recover from a year like this. I don't know where they're going to go. They haven't really set out anything that they're going to do.
Because they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got no idea.
Yeah, and we see them spending more and more time apart. They still kind of haven't really been seen together. And we see that the brand is crumbling. And we see that they haven't been able to actually understand who they are as a couple. And I think that that's going to be the end for them. They don't actually have a proper brand. They haven't been able to forge anything, really. They haven't been able to develop anything, to sell anything. The Polo documentary, as we said, was the final nail in the coffin for them.
For the Netflix deal, that's gone.
Yeah, that's all gone. And no one's going to trust them anymore. There's no other sort of production company handing out hundreds of millions of dollars to fund their weird lifestyle. So, yeah, I just think that 2025 is going to be a reckoning for Harry, and I think he is going to re-enter back into the fold of the royal family, where he belongs and what he was, bred to do. He's very good at being a royal, but he's not great at being a normal commoner.
That's why they do these weird faux royal tours, these pretend royal tours, because that's all he can do. Just go around and go, oh, that's a marvellous tribal dance. Lovely to see. Ooh, school kid, hi. Photo opportunity, hello. You know, it's just, that's what they do. Now, two things there. I mean, we are now hearing that after the disaster of Polo, and it really was a disaster. It was terrible to watch, and nobody is watching it. That Netflix may not, she's already filmed this cooking series, Netflix may not even bother to show it. They're so fed up with those two. They are finding her a nightmare to work with, as everybody does. And this weird thing, Simon, that we do know, this is a fact, that their brand image advisors in the middle of the year, I think it was fairly soon after their second weird royal tour, this one of Colombia, said, you know, when you appear together, people don't like you. As a couple, people don't like you. Start appearing separately. And ever since then, last 6 months or so, they've just never been seen together. Now that sparks speculation that their marriage might be over. But to cut them some slack, it may just be that in order to promote themselves, they've come to realise if they're together, it's a negative. If they're not, maybe they can get a positive out of it. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, looking back over their year, I think depending on which rose-tinted spectacles you want to look at it, it's either been a disaster that kept Samara away, or it's just another year if you look at it.
Actually, and it was a catastrophe. That's what it was.
But I kind of sort of think to myself, you know, they are still very much in the news. They are getting
well, that's because they want to be. Yeah.
They're getting awards for certain things. They are
Toy Town awards.
They are championing.
The silly awards.
They are championing projects which are close to their heart, and they are and they're bringing.
What are they?
Well, they've got Invictus is close to his heart. He's gone to the.
That's not a cause, is it? That's not a cause.
Oh, I
It's
think
also
it is.
something that he developed while
I
he was...
wouldn't want to knock the Invictus.
Okay, well,
I don't want to knock
we can
the
argue.
Invictus
We can
there.
argue the
but
merits
can
of.
I just say that it is something that he developed while he was within the royal family, and I think that's what we're seeing here is that without the structure of the monarchy,
an
they're
interesting
really,
point.
really struggling because they can't actually forge anything of their own. They're thinking, oh yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, I can go do this on my own, it's no problem, and then you quickly realise how much work goes into something
Because
like
also-
being royal and how many other appendages you need.
Because also, I think as well that sort of they do become easy targets when they're outside that protective fold of the royal family. I think that's
You
true.
can only point to something that was developed during that time.
Okay, no, I'm sort of saying.
What about since they left,
Okay,
Simon?
I'm saying. Well, I was saying before I was interrupted, and I did have
Oh,
a
you're so
thread.
rudely
I'm pulling myself back into. Yes, I was saying that they've done that thing of like. They were promoting that anti-bullying cause. They were doing other stuff. He's still got his place out in Lesotho that he goes and looks after. He's very high up in Travelist, which has made some mergers and acquisitions.
That's
He's still
the ethical travel company.
Yes, but you can
get
still
on a jet, ruin the planet.
However-
but be ethical.
However, yes. So like I
Actually,
said at the beginning.
ethical, my ass.
Like I said at the beginning of what I said, depending on which way you want to look at it, it's either been a disaster or they're making baby steps in a certain way. I think that what they need to do, is they've had a go at sort of doing all this entrepreneurial stuff. I think they need to move away from the TV stuff, move away from the media stuff. And I think they need to concentrate.
They need to work out what they're all about, don't
Yeah,
they?
I think they need to concentrate on, as you say, what he's
as a couple, they've got to concentrate on what they've got to work out what they are about because they don't at the moment they don't know their television dreams are in the toilet, shattered, gone.
So what I think,
they're not making films, they're not making TV
what I think
series.
they're good at-
What is she doing for God's sake?
what I think they're good at is I think if they can pick some great stuff, they're good at shining a light on that great stuff. If they don't make it all about themselves,
They're not,
and
though,
that's the
to be honest.
difficulty.
But they went to Colombia and started going on about online harm. I'm not going to knock the fact that they're campaigning to help children who are affected by online harm and parents. And
Exactly.
kids. And fine. I mean, I don't think they put their heart and soul into it particularly. But by all means, but they go to Colombia, online harm. In Colombia, the average person earns about $2 a week. They can't afford computers or phones. So once again, they're barking up the wrong tree.
But it's still
Yeah,
something.
and classic Meghan, I mean, if she had a royal advisor, they'd say, oh, maybe don't wear a $100,000 outfit to that event.
yeah.
Like, this is the thing that they're really missing out on. They're a bit too Hollywood for what they're trying to achieve here. Yeah. Hollywood. Yeah. But it's right. It's correct.
But that's what I'm saying.
Or they're not really Hollywood enough, are they?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, after the bullying thing, they're finished in Hollywood.
You're right.
So 2025 for those two is going to be interesting to watch because, as I say, I think they've come to a point where they don't know what they are. They just don't know. You got some comments anyway, Samara.
I do. Lainey has said, enjoy your show, but please do not address Harry and Meghan as Montecito majesties. They are and have never been majesties, and it's very insulting to the monarchy, which from what I can tell you, you respect.
Who's that from?
That's from Lainey.
Well, Lainey, I only do it ironically. It's, I'm sort of talking them down, taking the mickey out of them.
Lainey, never ever fear. Kevin is never ever praising them in any universe whatsoever. So if you ever think he's giving them any slack whatsoever, you've misinterpreted what he said. I just want to make clear that up.
Indeed, I just hope for Harry and Meghan that one day they have children because you've got some more comments.
Well,
Samara.
speaking of, Kathleen says, no children, no career, no respect, no marriage, no common sense.
Yeah. Harry and Meghan.
Thoughts?
No children, no future. It's just not on. I mean, it's actually the kids,
Oh, please. Please, let's not do this. Let's have a week where we don't do this. They have children. They don't want to show the children's faces all the time. That's allowed. Yeah. Move away from the children, everybody. Move away from the children.
They have children without faces. Another comment, Samara.
Elizabeth has said, Harry gave up his popularity and royal roles in order to find freedom. However, he is privileged, self-absorbed, and a victim of his own creation. He trashed his own country through Medium, but however, contradicts his angst against the press. My opinion is that he should get a real life and stop moaning about how hard done by he is. Elizabeth. Is that Elizabeth?
Good point, Elizabeth. Very good point. My feeling about Harry, and we can bring in his wicked uncle Andrew as well here. Both those two, if you're born into that royal family, you need a certain amount of intelligence to handle the extraordinary deal you've been handed in life. It is extraordinary to be a member of that family. And you need to understand the privilege you've been given, the position you've been given, and you need to handle that with grace and humility. And, William and Kate in particular do it, but the whole royal family do it well, apart from Harry and Andrew. And the reason that Harry and Andrew are so bad at handling themselves as being members of the royal family, the reason they're a couple of pompous oafs is they're dumb. They're dumb. They haven't got a brain cell between them. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So, Harry, forget it, mate.
There's that saying, isn't there? People who are born on third base but think they've hit a home run. And I think that actually I kind of agree with you in some ways. I've got a lot of time for Harry because I kind of am very empathetic about, and I know that nobody goes on about this enough, about his mum and the situation. Let me finish in the way that he's been constantly, and the way that he's been brought up. But I think that actually the best and the safest and the cleverest thing that they could do is say, we're not royal. We're not faux royals,
and we don't want titles for our.
So we're going to extricate ourselves.
We're
going to extricate ourselves from that position.
We don't want titles, and we don't want titles for the kids either. Look, Simon, this show only goes on for 60 minutes, so we're really going to have to go to a bad ad.
If you've got a lot of men to buy for, but not a lot of ideas, come to Sears. Save 50% on this Craftsman drill and circular saw or this Craftsman tool set. Need more ideas? This cassette car stereo is half price, and this Craftsman timing light is only $29.99. Plus, Sears has dozens of hardware gifts for under $15. Shall I go on?
There's more for your life at Sears.
Do you get drills and Black & Deckers and things for Christmas?
Just look at me, Kevin. I'm sure you look at me and just think, there's a man who does DIY all the time with my soft producer's hands and my nicely turned out top. No, my wife, I put up some, when we were courting, I put up some shelves for my wife.
Well, just come over all manly.
And she thought,
I'll do this.
Yeah, don't worry, darling, I'll put up some shelves. Put up some shelves for them, and just after we were married, about a week afterwards, they all fell down.
They fell down.
Men are not like this anymore. My partner got his hand started to hurt after picking up a box the other day. I was very
I can't even change a plug. This stereotyping of men in terms of DIY is a disgrace. But I'll look forward to getting some Sears drills this Christmas. So, next Christmas now. Christmas is over. Let's go to a break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to the New Year special of What Just Happened. This is part 2. You know the drill. This is where we pinpoint what we think is the big story, usually of the week, but of course this is the New Year special, so we're going to do the big moment of the year. And you know how we introduce this section of the show. Take it away, Keir Starmer.
3, 2, 1...
It's just funny every time that. Undeniably, without a shadow of a doubt, even Simon's going to have to agree with this. This is the big moment of the year.
Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States of America. And so the man who has upended all the rules of politics in America is president for a second time.
God, I loved that. I
I love how they couldn't do an
ceased
announcement without slagging him off again.
Yeah, I just loved that
hell.
moment. I mean, it was just the ultimate. Simon, your thoughts on that?
It was a terrible. It was an awful moment. It was an awful moment for me. But I mean, you know, the man made history. You know, it's incredible. I thought. Did we say that we were going to try and say something nice about?
Oh yeah,
the people?
we forgot about that.
Because I was thinking, Kev's going to ask me to say something nice about him. You know what? He's a disruptor. He's come in, he's looked at politics, and he's taken it by the scruff of the neck, and he's shaken it. And for that, I sort of admire the man. Him as a personality, and as you know, as a human being, I detest and I loathe and I hate. But I admire the way that even just recently talking about Ukraine, he just tweets, Putin, Zelensky, get round the table and sort this out, otherwise I'm coming to kick ass. Yeah. And I admire that. And I admire how he wants to get in there and make a deal and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I do find him a loathsome
creature. Don't like
creature.
him personally.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is a key moment. We talk about great moments of the year. This is not a great moment. It was a key moment, an extraordinary moment, an astonishing moment. We all remember this. That is a picture for the ages. That is such a fantastic photograph. When we saw that, I tweeted it and said, this is the picture that will win Donald Trump the presidential election. In retrospect, extraordinarily, in my view, it wasn't actually.
Yeah.
He went seriously into the woes after this. But what a moment. What a moment.
Yeah, I remember you texting me at like 3 a.m. and being like, this is the picture that has won him the election. And in a way, you were right, because it did show that he was triumphant and it gave him the momentum to begin with that he needed in order to get back in with the American people. And of course, like every election cycle, especially in America when it's a year, there were ebbs and flows. But he managed to ride it and take the turns exactly where he needed and come up on top right at the end. Yeah. I thought it was massively consequential. But then it was funny how all the assassinations after just got completely diminished, and then it was like there were three assassinations.
There was only one, but I mean, nevertheless.
The assassination attempts. There was three.
Were there three?
Yeah, there were three in total.
Well, the golf course, what was the other one?
There was another one where someone was...
Yeah, but that really didn't... Did they get anyone for that? There was a plot, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a plot.
So. Okay, but I mean, the fact that...
the fact that Kev is doing that gives you an idea of there is so much drama and noise around Trump. If it was anybody else, if it was in this country where there'd been kind of an assassination attempt, we'd be talking about it. But Trump is like this... He's this magnet for drama and noise and everything else.
That's part of his skill. He's a very charismatic guy, and things happen to him. And you know, that's a mark of how extraordinary this campaign was. That I forgot one of the assassination attempts,
which is mad.
Now, after that initial assassination attempt, the one with the flag afterwards and all that, remember he went fight, which became a slogan for the campaign. Weirdly, his campaign went into the doldrums. Partly because the Democrats decided, well, Joe Biden's a non-starter. We will crown Kamala Harris as our candidate, our nominee. And at that point, when Donald Trump was in the doldrums, I think he took a look at this woman and thought, I can beat her. Have a look.
Mommy, you know, the thing about this, I always wanted to go to Howard, and I went to Howard. And actually, it was in February of 2004. Olives with cream cheese on dark rye. You're prettier than you're on television. Mike, look at her. No. I swear to you.
I mean...
A cackling Kamala. And a bit of a bad cold she had there, didn't she? She seemed very, very stimulated. And then there was that one with the wine. I mean, I think she's turned to drink ever since losing. But she was an abysmal candidate, wasn't she, Simon? Yes, is the answer.
I think
she really was.
I mean, the mistake they made, and at the time, I have to say, I thought it was great. It was like, just don't get involved. Just don't get pulled into the madness that surrounds Trump and try and debate him on that Trumpian level. Try and kind of have a bit of distance. Don't get sort of like. But what they did mistakenly is the American people wanted to hear plans. They wanted to hear process, and like I said last week when we were talking, they don't want to hear about the wokery nonsense. They want to hear, what are you going to do about the money in our pockets? What are you going to do about the food on our table? What are you going to do about this? And Trump had a plan, and they didn't. And because they didn't talk about that, they came across.
Well, he had policy. She had no policy.
She came across as a figurehead with no policies, and not an attractive figurehead, and it's
she was a disaster. And my other key moment was the debate, the TV debate, where all the posh media, the snobbish media, said, "Oh, she completely humiliated you. She did it." This is the key. This is the moment. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Now, that appealed to people across the country.
Yeah, it did.
It crystallised the migrant crisis.
I mean,
talking about Springfield, Ohio, where the Simpsons live, where they had a big migrant problem, and all the media, Kamala Harris went, "Oh, you pathetic little man." No. That's when he beat you, Kamala, because he could relate to the people. The people could relate to him. They're worried about migrants, and you thought, you useless woke woman, that they weren't. Wrong, right?
Totally. I mean, can we remember any other line from that debate? I certainly can't. I mean, he knows how to create a viral moment, and that's what the world runs on now.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And the McDonald's skit.
That was a triumph.
Yeah, that was, and it was done exactly in the right state at the right moment.
Okay, so let's
because of course she said she worked at McDonald's when she was younger, and McDonald's could find no record of that. So Trump's line was, "Would you like lies with?"
So let's just move back. That last bit, the McDonald's bit,
McDonald Trump.
The McDonald Trump is very clever. The eating
and the dust cart
and the dust cart. Yeah, I'll give you that. But for me, and the real sadness here, though you'll find it funny, is that the eating the dogs, eating the cats. Don't feel you have to say it. Is kind
eating the dogs.
Is the crystallization of the misinformation that happens in American politics, where it turned out not to be true, but it didn't matter. And in doing so, dehumanized migrants to the point that they were kind of getting attacked and everything else. And it showed just how
it's not about dehumanising.
No, but it showed just
it's
how
about saying to the American people, how do you fancy it that we've got 10 million illegals in this country?
It showed how poisonous that kind of that debate can get, and how dangerous it can get.
And
I
showed that people were worried about it. Yeah, by the way, the Democrats were absolutely useless. They shouldn't have crowned her. They should have had primaries. They should have worked out who their candidate was going to be, not just given it to that useless woman. And then she and the Democrats made the cardinal mistake of appointing that idiot, that moron, Tim Waltz.
He's so frumpy.
The last waltz, old Tampax Tim. Yes. I mean, what a loser. And they should have appointed Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania governor, but she didn't, because Josh is Jewish and Democrats don't like Jews. It's as simple as that. We're going to go to a bad ad now.
When you pick up this Christmas booklet from Argos, you'll pick up hundreds of amazing gift ideas. There are famous brand names at famous Argos low prices. And with their instant credit, you can spread the cost of Christmas. So who needs to shop around? Just pick up an Argos booklet. It's so easy.
Bear that in mind for next Christmas. We're going to go to a real break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to What Just Happened. It's time for questions, your messages, your questions. Let's go, Samara.
Could Keir Starmer be replaced as Prime Minister in 2025?
you could replace him with a China doll and they would do a better job. It's really unlikely. I mean, the truth, there's two reasons. I'm interested in what you think, Simon, for once. No, I am. There's two reasons that crap, though Keir Starmer is, he's awful and his front bench are dreadful. There's two reasons why I think he'll make it to the next election. One is, you know, he's in charge, he's got a big majority. And the other is to defenestrate him would look like weakness, would look like they're in trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's kind of again, we talk about this noise that I mentioned around Trump. There's a lot of noise on social media. There's a lot of kind of online petitions about this and that and everything else. I see him as somebody who's just getting on with the job and doing it in some cases, not very well, but from a populist point of view in terms of how he gets his message across on certain policies that he's put in place. But with that large majority and also with kind of the Labour Party trying to be more disciplined in towing the party line, I don't really see, unless he has a personal sort of a mishap and he's caught lying or he's caught sort of doing something.
It's already happened.
No, but
there are some fears.
But if he's caught lying, caught lying to the House or there is something happens like that, I don't see a world in which he is.
There are some fears that he may have a very, very awkward time with the several court cases that start, funnily enough, on the same day as Donald Trump's inauguration, or January the 20th. Good day to bury bad news. But he may have some uncomfortable times, but unfortunately, I fear he will stagger to the next election. So we've got 4 more years.
Disagree. I don't think he'll survive a year. I don't. I've seen it in Australia. I've seen it in Australia. The Labor governments always love to chop and change because they want to stay in power. So they'll go, oh, who's the next most popular person? We need someone who's a bit more competent, and they will change. It will be from within, and it will happen. I can tell you. I will make that prediction right now.
Interesting though, Samara. In our country, it's the Tories who are ruthless about changing leader. You know, if they smell blood,
they're ruthless and ridiculous. They do it far too often.
But they're
Who's this
ruthless, aren't
month's
they?
Prime Minister?
We don't tend to do it. Labour.
Anyway, if Keir Starmer does go, and in preparation, if Angela Rayner takes over, have you got the number of Dignitas?
Come on.
Well, that will be available to you next year.
More.
Will Harry and Meghan split up in 2025?
Well, you've already answered that question.
Kevin, what do you think?
I do think that marriage will end in acrimonious divorce. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Whether or not that will happen in 25, I'm not so sure. But I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't at all. I think it's definitely on
that marriage will not last forever. That's for damn sure. You can tell that.
I don't think so.
I don't think not in this year.
I don't think they'll split up. I think that they kind of have a game plan in it, and it's
well, look,
that.
Here's the thing, though. There's not enough comedy in this world, so I really hope they do split up, so we can all have a good laugh at their expense. I'm all heart, aren't I? Next question, Samara.
This will really get your heart going. How many illegal migrants will enter the UK in 2025?
70,000 will come across the channel because this is going to get worse and worse and worse. We're going to end up with about 50,000 this year. Next year, I think 70,000. Labour have got no way of stopping this. No plans, no deterrents. They make this country more and more attractive for people to just jump onto boats and come across illegally. So 70,000. Yeah, you would accept probably that our illegal migrants will increase in numbers.
Yeah, you know something, I think with the policy in the English Channel and how we deal with that, which I would like to see, which I think I surprised both of you, I would like to see it being patrolled much more aggressively and boats turned
with
back.
Gunboats.
Before they get into, not with gunboats, but before they get into our waters. I'm going to call about 40,000, but I do believe that we'll probably send back and repatriate about 20,000. I think Labour are going to come in and be much harder.
Well, you know, I really hope they do. I mean, but neither the main parties, the Tories and the Labour Party, have a solution. They've got no solutions. The Tories, the Conservatives, are responsible for this mess. Labour, incredibly, have made it even worse. Neither of them got any solutions. You know, I say leave the European Convention on Human Rights, turn the boats around in the middle of the channel, or if you say that is dangerous, I'm not sure it is, when they get here, like in Australia, you came here illegally, you can't stay. Your asylum application is automatically rejected. Sod off.
40,000, 70,000, it should be zero. I mean, we're already seeing the apocalyptic...
Net zero on
seriously,
migrants.
it's like, we're seeing the apocalyptic effects of illegal migration on this country. We can't take it anymore.
Yes. And we've got too many people here, I mean, 70 million
Due
people.
to the apocalyptic effects of wars and climate change.
Oh,
Here we go.
climate change. God.
Yeah. Will Phillip Schofield make a comeback in 2025? That's
Phillip Schofield. Well, this is especially for our viewers in Australia, in Canada, in America. No. No, he won't. He's a disgraced TV star here who formed an inappropriate relationship with a young member of staff and got canned out of our premier daytime magazine TV show. No, he won't be back. Time for a bad ad.
Nobody has the movie I want.
Hey, if it's on video, Blockbuster probably has it. I mean, we have over 10,000 videos.
Wow.
I'll watch these fast and have them back tomorrow, I promise. Relax. At Blockbuster, you can keep your videos for 3 evenings, so take home plenty. And use our 24-hour quick drop.
Do you have any children's videos?
Sure. Blockbuster's America's family video store. You know, we have more kids' videos than any place else. More movies, more nights, more fun.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
Blockbuster Video, that was
Has that just
love this
opened?
throwback.
Just
What a
opened,
great
yeah.
idea.
No, this is like the highlight of my childhood was like Blockbuster on a Friday night.
Yeah, but, you know, it didn't stand the test of time, did it? Nor did videos. There was your problem. Time for a real break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to part 4 of What Just Happened. This is the New Year special, now 52 weeks ago. I am informed by our producer, Chuck, that I made a series of predictions about what would happen over the next 12 months. I can't remember what the hell they were, but I sense I'm going to get quite embarrassed over the next few minutes. Well, here we go. This is me a year ago. So here it is. My month-by-month fantasy wish list of events that I'd love to take us all by storm. January. Saintly £1.3 million a year soccer guy, Gary Lineker, treats the nation to another of his dreary virtue-signalling tweets about evil Tories, and the BBC finally shows him the red card. 1 week after the Match of the Day host is sacked, he joins Sky Sports for £2 million a year. February. After more migrants drown in the Channel, gormless globalist Rishi Sunak at last decides that saving lives is more important than the cloistered niceties of international law, quits the European Convention on Human Rights and orders the small boats crossing the channels to be intercepted and taken back to France. After the first turnaround, the boats stop coming, migrant crisis over. March, Prince Harry and Meghan return to Britain, say sorry for their appalling behaviour and promise never to attack the royal family again. King Charles refuses to accept their apology and strips them of their royal titles. April. A major corporation is slammed by howling protesters who complain that the red, black and green carpet in its reception area is disrespectful to Palestine. The corporation responds by dismissing the protesters as a bunch of middle-class idiots, tells them to get a life and declares the carpet stays. May. Fulham win the Premier League, securing the triumph with a 6-0 victory over struggling Chelsea, dooming the Blues to relegation. June. New Health Secretary Lord Nigel Farage fires 3,400 NHS middle managers on 6-figure salaries, axes hundreds of pointless diversity officers, saves billions cutting ridiculous red tape, and instantly our suddenly amazing NHS becomes an efficient powerhouse, and those notorious 8 million strong waiting lists plummet to nothing. July. The government announces that for the sake of productivity and to prevent Britain from becoming a nation of Netflix nerds, working from home is banned. August. ITV gives up its search for the new Phil and Holly and axes toxic daytime dirge this morning due to lack of interest. September. The BBC licence fee ceases to exist after new Culture Secretary Lord Reza Ruddock tells the state broadcaster to make its own money. A slew of Auntie Beeb's woke programmes with pathetically tiny audiences, EastEnders for example, are immediately cancelled. October. Following a Premier League match lasting more than 3 hours, the FA pulls the plug on VAR and returns to the human error refereeing system. December. Stunned by the Tories' shock general election triumph, Keir Starmer retires from politics and launches his own hair product company. Well, I've got a kind of get-out clause there because that was more of a wish list than actual prediction.
Kevin for Prime Minister.
Couple of not bad on Gary Lineker. I mean, he's gone.
This morning, pretty much.
This morning, yeah, it's pretty much gone. What did you think, Simon, of my brilliant predictions?
Yeah, definitely just a wish list where you've...
Especially Fulham winning in the league.
Yeah, completely. Not bad, though. Not bad. Nice bit of fun.
Any massive predictions for 2025, Kev?
That's a good question. God, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think about.
Do you think Trump
Everything's so unpredictable.
Do you think Trump will see out a 4-year term?
Yeah, definitely. Let's think about Donald. I think that Trump will help broker some kind of peace deal with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah,
I think that looks to me to be on the cards. Peace in the Middle East is already kind of beginning to happen. So I think we can at least be slightly optimistic about Gaza, Israel, Palestine, although Palestine won't get a state, it won't become a state. But I think Syria is going to be a tinderbox of trouble.
Absolutely. But also, you think, it's just an international story, Russia-Ukraine war. Like, at least if that was sorted, then we could turn back the oil and gas taps on and get some more cheap energy back into the UK, and that would solve a lot of problems for us. So I think that's it. He wants to do day one, he wants to sort it out.
Yeah. What about assisted dying? Do you think that'll come in? So we've had a big debate in this country about whether or not people can elect to be
It's something when I'm on this show, I think about quite a lot.
Yeah. So when I was doing my show on Talk, when the big debate was, and what I said, well, let's do the question of the day. Who would you like to be subjected to assisted dying? I mean, who would you? We better not go there. Let's go to the complaints department.
Rudd has said, I like Simon London. He brings an alternative view to the show and is thick-skinned enough to fend the constant digs from Kevin and Samara. A great show. Long may it continue.
And when Rudd says thick-skinned enough, skinned is optional. But he does bring a different dynamic to the show. That's what he's here for. He's our kicking person.
Flower J. Potter says, before Simon gets on his high horse about Trump visiting the Queen as President of the USA, perhaps he needs to remember the Queen's own favourite son was sued by a woman who was trafficked to him by his friend Jeffrey Epstein, so he had to pay her many millions. Thanks, Kevin, for sticking up for the poor polo ponies. It's a vicious sport.
Yeah, it is a vicious sport. And, do you know what the funniest thing about Prince Andrew and Epstein? They still trot this thing out. So what did he give Virginia Giuffre? How much? It was $12 million? £12 million.
Yeah.
$12 million
yes.
that the Queen gave him, I think. And there was, in that gift or that amount of money he gave to her, it was stressed that there is no admission of guilt here. It's like, well, what'd you give her $12 million for? Nobody believes you didn't her. Simple as that. Come on.
Sunday has said, most people don't like Harry and Meghan, so no one is interested in anything they do. The reason the first show is a success is because people simply don't know how horrible they are and still are back then. Yeah, very true.
I agree with that.
revealing.
Sharon Davison says it's sickening how these horses are treated. What it's done is shown people how this elite sport is for the entitled rich and think it's all right to shove this in people's faces while the majority of us have to work to survive. Who did they think this was going to appeal to?
Absolutely. As I pointed out, I think on a previous show, about 10 years ago, when he was still back in Britain, polo-playing Prince Harry had a favourite pony, they call them ponies, called Drizzle. And at the end of a particularly gruelling match, Drizzle keeled over, had a heart attack and died. That apparently is quite common in polo because it's so exhausting for the horses. And also because they're chopping and changing all the time. They're tiny little horses, big blokes on their backs. They're always breaking their legs and having to be put down. So polo is a cruel sport, if nothing else.
Jane says, do not try and defend Harry and Meghan. It's impossible, Simon. And then Anne says, all going well until Simon starts talking. I haven't even watched it.
Well, it is impossible, isn't it? But you do your best.
It's not even about defending.
They are hard to defend. They are hard to defend. They've done some terrible things.
It's not even about defending them. I kind of see that if you look at somebody through a lens all the time, and I have to remind myself this as well, as, you know, look at me and enthralled to Kamala. You have to sometimes look at it from an opposing view just to kind of, and when you do, I sometimes see the ridiculousness of seeing everything that somebody does being calculated and at fault. But then people might say that's what they do.
And what was it Tina Brown said about Meghan Markle, that all of her ideas, and I quote, are total crap, and that she has the worst judgment in the entire world. It's true. The trouble with Harry and Meghan, the reason things don't work for them, is they're both useless. They're useless people.
And Tina Brown was employed by Harvey Weinstein, so that shows a judge of character, doesn't it? You can do this, you can keep on doing this to people all the time.
Tina Brown's not a useless person.
No, she's not.
Very talented person. One more comment.
Crystal Leesman says, and by the way, Samara, you are the rose between two thorns.
Oh, wow. I'll take it. You clearly don't know me well enough.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Oh, wow.
Let's go to a break.
Thank you very much for the care you've taken. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very much for the home we're making. Thank you very much, very much.
Say thank you with Cadbury Roses chocolates, whatever the occasion or for any reason at all. Delicious centres covered in smooth Cadbury chocolate.
Thank you very much for the driving lesson. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much for taking us camping. Thank you very, 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 very much.
Thank you very much for the crappy chocolates. I mean, couldn't you do better than that? But in Australia, I suppose a box of chocolates is your ultimate dream.
Yeah, that's actually
staple meal.
Chocolates are very hard to come by.
What's you having for dinner? Roses and lager. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, listen, that's the end of the show. That's the end of the year. Well, Happy New Year to all of you in a few days' time. Thank you very much, Simon. I mean it, actually, genuinely. We're going to have one of those come-by-our moments. It's been a great year with Simon. Fantastic year with Samara. We will be back in 2025 with more of the same. So don't forget, join us next week for another edition of What Just Happened?